Ken Washington is the VP of Research and Advanced Engineering at Ford. Now, combined CES and the Detroit Auto Show, it's been a really busy couple of weeks for you with some really big announcements as well, hasn't it?
It's been a great few weeks for us. Coming off of last week's CES, we really had some great news to share with the world about our smart mobility plan, connecting our vehicles on the Internet of Things with our relationship with Amazon, being able to talk to your smart home from the car. That's really exciting. We're not losing any momentum this week. We've got some really great things to share with everybody this week with our dynamic shuttle, which we're standing right in front of.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I actually haven't seen this. This is my first chance to stand in the Ford booth here, so we're going to get to that in a second because this is quite a fascinating piece of equipment.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you though, you're talking about the Internet of Things, partnerships with Amazon. Is this all coming off of the back of your new facilities up in Silicon Valley?
Well, our new facility in Silicon Valley is part of our overall plan to drive innovation in every part of our business. They're really helping us to accelerate innovation. As you know, innovation is not new to Ford Motor Company. We've been innovating since our very beginning, starting with our founder.
Yep.
But this is really accelerating our innovation by plugging us into the Silicon Valley economy, opening up the doors to enable us to partner with companies of all sizes.
Yeah.
Examples being Amazon. And really helping us to accelerate innovation in this mobility space where things move fast,
Really
and
fast.
you've got to be able to pivot when you come up with ideas that need to shift. And we're doing exactly that with moving our experiments from experimentation phase into pilot phase into real services.
Okay, and I guess it helps that there's a huge talent pool up in that region that you kind of maybe get to embed yourself in a little bit. I know there was mentions the other evening about startups and embedding yourself in that kind of culture.
Exactly. So we've already brought over 100 people to our Silicon Valley lab, but we're also tapping into the innovation ecosystem right here in our own backyard in Detroit with Techstars and the Mobility Techstars program. Our partnership and support of that program is very important to us. It's allowing us to have exposure to startups right here in the Detroit area.
Yeah.
We're going to get great ideas from them and also help sponsor them so they can grow into companies.
I have to ask, how excited are they when they see yourself and Mark Fields wander into the office and say, hey guys, we'd like to get involved with you? I mean, that's a really big opportunity, I'm sure, for a lot of these startups.
Well, a lot of these startups, what's really great about interacting with them is they're fearless and they just have passion about their ideas. I mean, I think that's what marks a startup. And so it's energizing to us too. And so while they're excited, we are just as excited to work with them, and we're getting a lot out of the relationship with Techstars. So as you know, from last week at CES, we announced the second round, and we continue to support that. We've got messaging about that here at the North American Auto Show, but we're also continuing to advance and make progress toward other aspects of our smart mobility plan, including autonomy. Last week, we announced our tripling of our autonomous vehicle test fleet. This week, we shared with the world that we're, to our knowledge, the only auto OEM testing fully autonomous vehicles in the snow.
In the snow. So where is this testing taking place?
This is taking place right here in the Detroit area, in M-City, and also on our test track here in Detroit and on the city streets in and around our campus and at the Dearborn facility.
Okay, what do you think the hurdles are that we're going to have to overcome here? Because it seems like the technology of autonomy is accelerating to an extent that we're going way faster than the legislation can catch up to. So how do we overcome that?
Well, this is the case, just like in many other areas where technology is going to go faster than the policies will. And so we all have to come together as a community, as an industry, to work with policymakers to address some of these more non-technical, but quite frankly, more thorny issues associated with how do you enable autonomous vehicles to be used in society. So more to come on that space as we work with the entire industry and with policymakers and university thought leaders.
Okay, well, last year we actually, through our show Translogic, got a chance to come out to your test facilities where you've used autonomous vehicles in a kind of a unique way to take your test drivers out of the cars, those grueling tests where you've got to put hundreds of thousands of miles on a truck to see if it's going to brake. I mean, you're using autonomous driving already in some real world applications.
That's exactly right, and snow is a great example of that. So what's really exciting about that is well, we all drove to the auto show today in snow. I mean, it's snowing out there, and we know from our own experiences of driving in snow that it's harder. I mean, the roads are slippery, visibility gets lowered. Our autonomous vehicle is showing us that our strategy and our technical approach to fully autonomous driving allows an autonomous car to operate in the snow because the vehicle can locate itself on the road without having the camera, requiring the camera to actually look at the lane markings. That's not how we're doing it.
Right.
We're mapping the area in advance.
So is it a GPS-based solution?
It's not a GPS-based solution.
No.
It's a location-based solution that geolocates the car on the road by identifying objects around the road with LiDAR and leveraging the pre-mapped area and our knowledge of what the area looks like when there's not snow.
Got you. Okay.
And so the combination of those two senses gives us high confidence of where the car is on the road, even when there's snow on the road, when it actually covers the lane markings.
Yeah.
And so that allows us to confidently take the driver out of the loop, because in those conditions, you can't rely on a camera or some other sensor telling you where the road stripes are.
What about the car-to-car technology that you guys are employing?
Well, car-to-car and car-to-infrastructure technology is going to one day get to the point where you can rely more and more on that and make the driving experience safer and better. We are not relying on car-to-car or car-to-infrastructure communications in our autonomous vehicle work, because it has to be everywhere for you to rely on.
It's got to be everywhere, so everybody has to have it, otherwise it's not going to be any good.
Exactly.
Okay,
right.
well, while we're here, let's talk about the, what's the name for the bus?
This is part of our pilot that's called Dynamic Shuttle.
Dynamic Shuttle.
We've launched this in Dearborn on our own campus, where we're enabling our employees to move from building to building. Our campus is fairly spread out, where our employees work and move from building to building. And this shuttle will allow them, well, we have a shuttle service now that they can take, but it's not on demand. It comes on a schedule. And we're now launching this, which allows you to, on demand, hail a shuttle, and it will dynamically route you from your building to where you want to go. Wow. We did a lot of research into what kind of a service and what kind of a physical van would give you a good experience. And so what we're standing in front of is the result of that research, which led us to lay the seats out in a format that makes the riding experience comfortable, so that you have your own little private space. There's USB plugs, so you can plug in your personal devices.
Excellent.
There's a large screen, so you can know where you want to go. But it all starts with a simple question, and that is, where do I want to go? And if you say where you want to go on your mobile app, it will route your it will route you from your current location to where you want to go, and it'll show you. And the screen here shows you, how it will route you, and it'll tell you, the fare and how long it'll take you to get there, and it'll give you some confidence that that route is a pretty straightforward route.
Decent route to take.
And you're off and going.
Wow, fantastic! Look at this. I love that.
So this is the future, one of the examples of the future of mobility, finding new ways for people to move, to ease congestion and provide for more enjoyable journeys.
And that's been, I think, my biggest takeaway from this Detroit show, from Mark's announcements yesterday at the press conference, as a forward-thinking mobility company, as opposed to being just an automaker, thinking of solutions. And one of those solutions was your leasing program, which is a pretty big announcement. So I want to make sure I'm getting this right. So you're basically talking about sharing a lease?
Sharing a lease, that's right. We call it Ford Credit Link.
Got you.
And the idea is, if you are a qualified Ford lease participant, you can bring between 3 and 6 co-leasers with you, and between all of you, you lease one vehicle.
Got you.
And the idea came from our feedback from our customers that the lease process oftentimes leads to a lot of idle time. So you're using your vehicle that you lease oftentimes as little as 10% or sometimes even less. And now if you have the ability to bring others, you can offset the cost of a lease and increase the utilization. So that's good for congestion and it's good for your pocketbook.
I get it.
And we provide the tools to make that easy for you to share a lease with friends and or family, people that you trust and that you can work with to work out the details of how you want to share the cost and how you share the time.
Got you. So it's not a broad spectrum thing where I would get in a lease and then there's some guy that I've never met before, he's in on the lease too, like a timeshare program where we're arguing about who gets the car when and at what time. More designed for households,
Right.
perhaps roommates in college that have decided that they need a car
Right.
to get around. Maybe there's
Exactly.
3 people that live in the house, but they're only going to be using it a little bit at a time, once a week, twice a week, but they want to have it there for when they need it.
That's exactly right.
Okay.
And that's why we're piloting it in Austin, Texas.
Yep.
This year, and it's for 24-month leases.
Yep.
So we'll be gathering feedback and learnings over the next 24 months.
Yeah.
And based on that, we'll see where we take the program and other areas where we might apply it.
Might be a silly question, but when it comes to insurance concerns in that sort of situation, say you've got 6 people on a lease, has Ford sort of partnered up with any kind of insurance company to figure out a package there where one person's not wearing the entire brunt of the insurance, that it is divided equally?
The insurance is covered through the program.
Through the program.
And so that's something they would share as well.
Okay, fantastic. All right, well, I'm going to let you go now because you've given me plenty of information, Ken. It's fantastic talking to you. I only recently learned today that you've got quite an illustrious history in the tech space. I mean, you were was it Lockheed for working in space technologies for however many years you were doing that. What's the difference going from space to cars and future cars?
Well, all of the experiences I've had have prepared me to have a really great career here at Ford, and I'm so delighted to be here and being able to change how people can move. Really having the opportunity to change people's lives. We touch millions of people with the cars and trucks and utilities and electrified vehicles that we build today. And we're going to touch even more as we become both an auto and a mobility company. And I couldn't be more happy to be here to leverage the experience that I've gained in other sectors and helping Ford move it into the future.
Fantastic. It sounds like we're living in very exciting times right now, Ken.
It's a wonderful time to be alive.
Excellent. Thanks very much for taking the time. Appreciate it.
It's my pleasure.